Paycheck to paycheck, common mistakes. Boom, meta! Doing another rags to riches transformation. And today I'm literally gonna break this down to you because I run into too many people that have this problem. They're living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to figure out how to get ahead, and they're making these very, very common mistakes that makes it so they can't get ahead. Like if you're not making over $150,000 a year, and I'm not talking about a dual income. Most of the folks I'll run into have two incomes, but they don't exceed $150,000. I'm talking about a single income that exceeds $150,000. So if you're not making that, then I am directly talking to you, or at least giving you the tools that you need so that you can start making some changes that change your stars. So, my name is Mike Morris. This is another Rags to Riches transformation. I'm a wholesale solar provider and I help people save money. This is the journey from rags to riches. Basically, it's a blueprint and I'm showing you the 4 different types of people. Really, there's 4 different types of people and you've got to understand these types of people because as soon as you understand them, you can then start making decisions that will help you to shift where you're at. You're trying to break out of the atmosphere, whatever it is, you're trying to get your breakthrough. These are things you can use to help you figure out your breakthrough. The very first type of person is a freeple people. This person wants absolutely everything for free. They don't want to pay for anything. This is a very, very difficult place to be in because if you're always wanting things for free, you're in big, big trouble. Dave Ramsey used that analogy. He says, look, you got a lake and you got a stream of water coming into it. He goes, the water can get into it, but he goes, but if the water never comes out, you're gonna see this stuff called pond scum that starts forming on the surface. You ever seen that? And then what happens is because it's so tight, it starts to stink. And he's like, you cannot operate in an environment where nothing can get out because in the end, you have no flow and then you start to stink. That's the challenge where freeple people find themselves. Now you got this next problem right here, which is the cheapo people. This is where most people seem to get trapped. They like everything cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. As long as it's cheap, they want it. But if they want to get ahead in life, they struggle with this very next step in the process, which is making or being willing to take and to pay for the privilege of being able to start ascending. Like this is like base camp right here. So they cross the Rubicon. Now they've got to get up to base camp where they can start getting the good life. They struggle with this. I run into people that do this. Now, I'll give you a classic example. I do solar. I take and I put solar up on people's houses. The payment is half of what their current utility bill is. But I run into people that are like, instead of looking at the good life where they're going, they spend too much time looking off to the sides like, oh, I don't want the bank to succeed. I don't want them to get any interest. They have a problem seeing anybody else succeed. And because they struggle with the concept that somebody else might be successful, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. Huge mistake. Like if you wonder why you're stuck, and if you're always in a state where you're like, oh, I don't want to pay it, you're not going to get anywhere. I'm sorry. But when you're in this state, and this is where people get stuck, this is a lot of people get stuck living a paycheck to paycheck because they operate in a state of being too cheap to actually pay for the privilege of being able to start creating the good life. I mean, I've shown people, I'm like, look, I can cut your bill in half and you can get all of this money on the back end. You will save a tremendous amount of money. And they'll go, oh, I'm not going to do it. They're focusing on the wrong problem. You got to focus on where you're going to go instead of focusing on that somebody else might be successful. Huge mistake. I got you another example where I've seen this very thing pop up. They came up here to where I live. They came and they trenched in and they put fiber network in there so we could have really high-speed internet. The thing that they did is when they plumbed it and piped it in, he says, if you want us to pipe it directly to your house, it's going to cost $1,500. And if you pay $1,500, we could actually roll that into your taxes and then you could just pay that on your taxes. And then you have high-speed internet. I had a friend of mine who was like, oh, I know, I'm not going to do that. Well, our internet up here absolutely sucks. We're probably getting about 7 megabytes. He's probably up to 10 megabytes now because a lot of people switch. But the problem is he's like, I'm not going to pay $1,500. And so here it is. I'm paying $50 a month and he's paying about $80 a month. He's stuck to his old plan. I made the switch. I'm at $50 a month. I am less money a month, even though I had to pay for fiber to get plumbed to my house. Would you rather have a gigabyte of download speed and upload speed or 10 megabytes up and down? You see the thing? Focusing on what they got literally killed his ability. He's paying more and he gets less for what he's got. I mean, it's crazy. I find people make that mistake a lot. When you take and you make this transition right here, this is tough. I hired a coach. I paid him $24,000. What it is I said, hey, show me how to ascend up to the mountain so that I can get up here to base camp. I can get up here closer to the good life so that I can start creating prosperity and economic freedom for me and my family, right? As soon as you can make that connection in your head, that your way to get ahead is not always trying to figure out how to be so cheap. Sometimes things are not cheap to be able to get where you want to go. Let me show you this next step, this next phase in the journey. When you take and you start transitioning from this freeple people, this is the people that were willing to pay a premium in life to get whatever they want. This is not a free ride. This is expensive. I have a friend right now, his name's Chris Crone. If you guys know who Tony Robbins is, he paid Tony Robbins $250,000 for his coaching. Could you imagine spending $250,000 to be able to get coached by Tony Robbins? But as soon as he got connected with Tony Robbins, as soon as he got involved and he started participating, he 10x'd his money. He figured out Tony Robbins helped him to get some more breakthroughs so that he could start seeing opportunities. He could start making some connections. He introduced him to some people, and all of a sudden, it made a total transformation. Now, if you know who Tony Robbins is, and you know who Russell Brunson is, and if you know who Dean Graziosi is, Russell Brunson was already killing it, right? But Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, they created this thing, it was called the Mastermind, where they literally were teaching and training people on how they can coach and mentor people so they can be successful. Russell Brunson said, I think I'd like to be a part of that. And they're like, well, it's kind of already formed, we've got the partnership going. So they weren't really super jazzed about it. And Russell goes, but you need to buy mastermind.com. And they're like, yeah, well, we checked it out, and it's already owned by somebody. And so what Russell Brunson did is he went back and he searched and he figured out who it was. He found out that it's one of his clients that actually owned mastermind.com, and he paid him $600,000 and bought this website, mastermind.com, and gave it to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. And those guys were like, oh my word. If you're willing to give us a gift of $600,000, we actually have to make you a partner. So he became a partner with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. Hot diggity dang, right? Yes, he got his entire $600,000 back. Yes, he was able to make it back. But that's the difference. If you want to live the good life, you have got to discover how to stop looking at somebody else's success and not want to be involved in it because it would make them successful instead of focusing on where you wanted to go. I run into this. I see this too much. I had another example. Remember, I told you I was doing a flooring business, and my flooring business collapsed. We somehow lost the magic sauce. We were stopped fulfilling on our quality. There was a guy that reached out to me. He's like, Mike, I am very interested in what you have to offer because I am interested in scaling up my business and doing very, very well. So we worked out the terms, and he said, okay, Mike, all right, go give me some sales. Well, what he didn't know is I'm good at it. I went out there and I hustled, I created opportunities for him, but he became butthurt with the idea of actually paying me a commission for hustling these things for him. And so in the end, he didn't actually pay me for doing the work, which was crazy, which also explains why he struggles and he's broke. He went and hired my kids to come over and do some work on his property, cut down some trees. So after the work was done, he didn't pay him either. And I'm like, dude, I have got you figured out. If you talk to Tony Robbins, he goes, look, I can just have a conversation with somebody and I could just start figuring out things that they're doing. Based on the words and the things that they say, I can literally figure out which bucket they fall in. And based on the bucket, he used the word 250,000. He's like, dude, they're never going to be 250,000 because their mindset's all wrong. He goes, I can identify and I can specifically see which ones will make it and which ones won't. I was with my friend Chris Crone and he said the exact same thing. I listened to people's language patterns. And based on those patterns, I can tell who's going to make it and who's not. And so when I share this with you, the best thing to do is just pause. Just do some analysis. Just ask yourself a question. Do I get butthurt when I see somebody go up on stage and succeed? Do I secretly just like, oh, I wish that was me? Like, it's okay to want to be up there on that stage, but you don't have to discredit somebody else's success because they're having it and you're not. What you can do is say, I wonder how they did that. What could I do that would allow me to be like that? And what you'll find, and I found across the board, is that people that were successful were willing to pay a fee. And they at least focused on where they're going instead of being upset where people are going or if it benefits them. I find it a lot. Here's the way you can keep crabs trapped. You can take a bucket, right? Throw all these crabs inside of it. They don't get out because as soon as one crab starts going boop, 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 the other crab's like, oh, no, 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 no. Grabs them and pulls them down. And then another crab goes up and no, 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 no. And they pull them down. That's what they do. Instead of focusing on, boom, that guy's scaling the wall. He's about ready to get out. How did he do it? And then they start climbing the wall. They could all get out, but they don't because they focus on the wrong thing. So just shift your focus. When you come into a transaction, don't sit there and dwell on, is this guy or whoever it is, are they going to prosper? Ask yourself, is my life better off by having this thing? Will it allow me to prosper and to be more economically sound? And if it is, close the chapter, move on, and you will start experiencing more success. We will get you out of the rut of paycheck to paycheck. Anyway, this is another Rags to Riches transformation. You can go to my website, AskSolarMike.com, and you can learn more. I can show you about solar. I can show you how we can cut your electric bill in half. Do not focus on that fact that the bank succeeds by providing solar to you no money down. The main thing is we cut your electric bill in half. We're probably going to save you $50,000 to $100,000 over a 30-year window. Focus on what you get. That's the secret. I will talk to you later.